Hi, you're going to understand why I'm keeping this in a couple of minutes, but 1 second. Just need to make sure it's all good. And do a little shimmy, a little shake. Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new, I'm Erica Eileen. I'm a confidence coach. If you're not new and you're an OG and you're here supporting, I fuck with y'all and you will literally be coming to the grave with me. But I'm excited to be here. I'm also nervous, a little bit insecure, and also I'm going to be super transparent, a little anticlimactic, but we'll get into that. But welcome. I am a confidence coach. I specialize in body, business, and bedroom. And you might be wondering how those things go together. The reality is, at the end of the day, whether you are dealing with anything in life, it is usually rooted at confidence. And the confidence that you need to speak up in the bedroom is the same confidence that you need to speak up in your business or in your career or in the boardroom. And it's the exact same confidence that you need to speak up for yourself and to love yourself when someone is shitting on your body or a family member is making comments. So, how does that connect? What does that mean for you? It means lots of good things, but it mostly means that you get tons of advice and we get to talk about all of the fun things together. And there doesn't need to be a specific niche and there doesn't need to be a specific reason because, again, there's so many moving pieces to confidence. There's so many different topics. There's so many ways to discuss it and express it and to grow it. And we're going to do that over here on YouTube. Transparently, I used to have a podcast. It was called Rated E for Erica and it did pretty good. Not going to lie. It made charts and it always hit the download goals, but it was missing a little bit of a personal touch, which is the face to face, and also just being able to share with you and show emotion with you and to show you what it's like to show up on your good days, your bad days, and everything in between. So that is why we're starting YouTube. I hate being a beginner, to be honest, and this is very challenging for me. I am a Capricorn sun, and I'm not typically someone that deeply believes in like religion and astrology and all of those things. However, I've never read anything wrong about Capricorns. And the big thing about us is that we are workaholics and that we are also a go-getter. So being a beginner, not knowing everything, not knowing if it's going to work out, potentially also too, not being successful scares the living shit out of me, but we're going to do it anyways. And the reason why you are seeing the beginning clip, the reason why you are seeing it in the way that it is because I want to take you along on the journey with me. I have developed a coaching career for the last 6 years and I've been successful every single year because I don't even just talk the talk, I also walk the walk. And I'm not afraid to show you when I'm fucking up. I'm not afraid to show you what I'm struggling with. And I'm not afraid to show you the things that I'm not necessarily getting right because it is the reality of what confidence is. And confidence can be marketed in 150 different ways. You'll see people use it for selling bikinis, cars, McDonald's, breakfast, dinner, pair of jeans, a freaking university degree, everything. And while you can gain confidence through different avenues and different ways to do it, oftentimes the confidence that you're seeing or maybe comparing yourself to isn't always necessarily the real confidence. And I like to be that for you. I want to be a comfort creator. I enjoy being the person that people can go to just be like, you make me feel seen. You make me feel heard. You fucking get it. You make me feel like I have language and lingo that I didn't know for myself, or you helped me understand a part of me that I was struggling with. And we're going to do that over here. So not just on Instagram. So I'm very excited for that. And I just feel like it's going to be a really great way for us to connect. And I can show you my favorite products and I can show you what I bought and thrifted and all of the amazing things. So a little bit about me is I am 32. I live in a small town outside of Toronto. I recently moved home to my parents, partially for financial decisions because, to be honest, dating and being single and in 2025 is exhausting. And even when I'm making enough money and even when I can cover my bills, it's just not a vibe. If I can be honest, like I desire so deeply at this point in my life for community and support, whether it's financial, emotional, physical, etc. So moving home was really supportive for me. My family and I also fought for the majority of the pandemic when I decided to go on this like really deep part of my journey, because I was already coaching in confidence back in 2020 and I was already very confident, but I wasn't necessarily going the next level. I made a lot of big decisions in my life. I left my partner of 6 years. I moved to the city. I dyed my very blonde hair black. I chopped it. I got a fuck ton of tattoos. I put on weight. I decided to sex coach and then I started to get into OnlyFans and doing that. I started dating a lot and making dumb decisions. I was really hurt at the same time because I felt like my family was like this with me for the longest time. And then when I finally decided to be my authentic self, it was like not accepted. And so I really struggled with vocalizing that. I really struggled with landing on an adult to adult relationship with my parents. So being back home is a lot of different things for me. But the biggest one is that I can rekindle and almost pick up on lost time that we had over the last couple of years. So that's been exciting. I do love the town that I live in right now. It's a small town, but don't get it twisted. I'm not a small town bitch. I do travel a lot as well. My goal is to usually get to somewhere or on a plane for at least 4 months or 4 times a year. But with these prices, sometimes it makes it impossible. But also to make sure that you're checking prices early, like I'm talking 6 to 9 months ahead, because that's when the deals come. So I travel a lot. I live at home a lot. And right now in this era of my life, I'm currently crafting what it means to be 32, practicing abstinence, desiring some type of community relationshipy thing in the future, but for the first time ever, not putting it at the forefront and the kind of like the controller of all my decisions. I am also navigating what life looks like for me as someone with diabetes. Growing up, I was diagnosed when I was 7. It was not an easy diagnosis for myself or my family or probably even anyone in my community. I always tell my clients that your confidence journey starts with a big drastic thing. For some people, it's just being born in a body that society says is less than or isn't as privileged. So in a fat body, in a disabled body, Black, brown, person of color, trans, queer, etc. Or it can happen from an event. Sometimes it's a divorce of your parents. Sometimes it's something tragic or something like really terrible. Sometimes it's a diagnosis. Sometimes it is also something really great that happens to you and you realize that you want to continue feeling good. So you continue doing things that you want for yourself. Regardless of what it is, there's usually some big boom as to why we really start caring about ourselves. For me, my relationship with diabetes made my confidence very low growing up. I felt incapable in my body and my body's ability to show up for me. And as a 7-year-old and as a 7-year-old's brain would, I internalized that I was incapable and that I was not good enough or that I couldn't do something. And that kind of carried on and through me until I was in my early 20s, when I just started realizing that if I wanted to live the life that I was almost like jealous of other people living and the things that I kept being like this about, I was going to have to do some self-reflection. I was going to have to do some learning, and I was also going to have to do some unlearning. So I went on a journey with my confidence. A big part of it was just gaining confidence to even like have my devices out. When I was living in Australia, I was there nannying after school. I did 2 degrees and I just could not get a job. So I jumped on a plane, as I do, and I left my life behind and I went to live there. And it was there that I realized that I had to kind of work through my shit if I wanted to experience the life again that I knew I could. I was like essentially on a beach in Australia the one day, and I remember sobbing. I think I still have it in my journal. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I've gone all the way to go to Perth, Australia, which is like the farthest point of Australia that you could get to from Toronto. And I was like, and I'm sitting here hating myself. Like that's actually fucking crazy. And so that was a huge moving piece for me. Once I started accepting my physical self, then I realized that there was a whole other side to it, which was the mental and actually liking yourself as a person, boundaries, etc. And I always tell my clients too that confidence is not necessarily a destination, it is a journey. So I truly believed that once I had like confidence that everything was going to be perfect. And that could not be farther from the truth. Once you have confidence, that means you start trying new things. It means you allow yourself to be a beginner, which is what this topic and this conversation is going to be all about. And it just allows you to essentially build onto your life. And when we do new things and when we go into different areas of our life, our confidence is challenged and we can feel like we are starting over, which we're usually not. But essentially, that is the journey of what confidence looks like. And so right now I am enjoying getting to know my style and allowing myself to dress for myself and allowing myself to know what a future looks like with diabetes. A lot of people that are diagnosed with something when they're younger, whether it's cancer, something like a chronic disease, etc., it can change your mindset. There is a condition for it. I don't know what it's called. I can't remember right now, but it's essentially where you have a hard time foreseeing the future because you don't know what that looks like because you don't know if you're going to be there. And so when I turned 30, 31, I started allowing myself to be like, okay, wait, like maybe you are going to exist and maybe you are going to live past 30. And the 30 that I thought I was going to potentially have, which was a husband and kids and a house and a white picket fence and a dog and a career that I, loved wasn't my reality. I didn't know that I was gay. I didn't know that I didn't want a husband. I didn't know that I didn't want kids until I was about 28, 29, and actually started asking myself these really deep questions that you need to know in order to truly, truly know yourself. And I think a lot of us in the pandemic really took time to actually ask ourselves what we wanted from life and what we wanted to do. And for me, it was everything opposite of what I was doing. So I'm in this position right now where I'm giving myself 18 months of abstinence, which is where you don't date, you don't focus on other people, and you learn how to recenter all of your decisions based on you and not on the potential of a partner or on a partner if you have one. And that's been really cool, but it's also really hard because for the first time ever, I have to decide based on me. And if you're anything like me, and if you're a recovering people pleaser, or if you're a recovering person who struggled with confidence, you know that it's sometimes easier to make decisions and it's sometimes nicer to make decisions when it's not necessarily based on you. You get to be like, well, I have to do this because this person, or like, I'm going to do this because of that person. When there's no idea of a potential partner, when your brain's not telling you to like do something because it might make you more worthy, you really have to dig deep and ask yourself what's for you. So I've been enjoying getting to know my fashion. Like I said, that's been really cool. I've been understanding what I want for my career, which is why I'm here on YouTube. I used to do my podcast, like I said, it was missing that personal touch. YouTube also transparently seems like a more long-term business move, whereas the podcast, for whatever reason, it didn't. So I'm going to try this. And I also too am in a position right now where I am just really honing in on like the little parts of me and like the little quirks of me, and really allowing like, okay, I need a nap in the afternoon, or like, okay, I don't want to wake up early to go to the workout, or like, I like this type of training, or I like that. I'm just really allowing myself to hone in on that and enjoy that. So that's where I'm at right now. And I'm sure I'll be sharing way more about it. And I will go into full details on so many topics that I'll be yapping your face off. But today's topic, I wanted to talk about being a beginner because it's so often packaged in a way that feels almost unattainable for a lot of us. And it feels like, even though people are like, here's how to be a beginner, you're like, no, where's like the actual mess of it? Which is why I wanted to keep this video as is. Part of it is a challenge to myself to show that I can put something out there and it doesn't have to be perfect. It's a showcase to you all to show you that you can also try, and you don't have to have everything perfect and ready in order to do it. But I think it's important to showcase the journey and the process, because oftentimes we are comparing ourselves to something that is not necessarily the truth. I always tell my clients, when you're comparing, you don't know all the facts and the details. So you're looking at something on a screen typically, or in person, and you're telling yourself that you're behind, or that you're not good enough, or you're not there, but you don't even know what's going on. You don't even know the story. You don't even know all the facts. And so you're making a false accusation. And I do that myself. And I know my clients do that as well. And even though I can't show you everything, like I can't show you all the times that I was on a treadmill watching how to start a YouTube, all the times that I was sitting there on Canva trying to figure out how to make a thumbnail, all the times that I was filming this episode and something went wrong, all the times where I was checking the angle of my phone. There's like 37 videos in my phone right now just from today of me clicking it, sitting down and being like, I'm gonna lose my mind. Okay. Obviously I can't show you everything, but I do just want to show you what it's like to be a beginner. I also want to share a couple of tips and tricks and just things to think about if you are a beginner, whether you're thinking about starting a business, whether you're thinking about posting online, whether you're thinking about dating, whether you're thinking about starting a new career, going back to school, being a mom, whatever it is. There are some things about being a beginner that I try to hone in on, and it helps me and allows me to actually do that. The first things first is that there's always going to be pros and cons to everything. There are a lot of pros to being a beginner, and I think oftentimes our brain goes to the cons and the things that it's going to make us feel insecure about, or the things that we are going to struggle with. But there are a lot of pros when it comes to being a beginner. The main one is that you get to develop new skills. And when you get to develop new skills, what happens is you get an opportunity to work on all of these subcategories that go into confidence. So you can work on building trust. You can build on your communication. You can build on your efficacy, so your availability to believe in what you're doing. All of these little skills come from trying something new. When you have new skills, your confidence goes up because you're telling yourself that you can do the things that you didn't think you did. And it allows you to then, which is my third point, might open up to a whole bunch of new opportunities. So for example, my dad is a home builder. This office that he built, which isn't ready yet, and by the way, for week 2 or for episode 2, there will be things in the background, and that's all part of the journey of showcasing you how I'm going to get to where I want to be with this thing. But my dad's a home builder, and we have a whole backyard here where he has all his tools. And he has tools that are like this big, and he has tools that are bigger than me. And you'll probably even hear them in some type of this video because everything and something is always going off at some point. But my dad's a home builder. When he started, he had a certain amount of tools, and he also had a certain amount of skills. And as he grew through his career over the last 40 years, he's not only learned new skills, but he's picked up new tools. And so now, whether you want a new deck, whether you need a new bathroom, a shower, anything, my dad can do it, because not only does he have the skill, but he has the tools in his toolkit to do it. And it's very similar to you. The more tools that you have, the more skills that you have, the more opportunities that you are open to. So have you ever gone on LinkedIn or on a job search and you go down to like the requirements and they're like, you must have 97 years of experience and you have to know how to use every single Excel sheet and you have to know this, this, and this, and this. And you're sitting there and you're like, I don't have any of those skills, so I guess I'm not qualified. Even though they're freaking crazy for doing that, and 9 times out of 10, they're so dramatic. Imagine being able to go on LinkedIn, for example, going down to a job description and they have 5 skills and you have them all because you gave yourself the confidence and the ability to try and to learn. You might not be amazing at them. You might not know everything about it, but you're able to be like, you know what? I'm comfortable in Microsoft Word. I'm comfortable speaking French a little bit. I'm comfortable with social media. It gives you more opportunities to gain whatever you're looking for. And that's just one example, right? Like there are tons of examples of how when you have more, you're able to have more opportunity. The other thing too, side note, is for networking, for building friendships, for building a community. If you have more skills, if you have more knowledge, even just about like the random shit, like the amount of times that I Googled the dumbest stuff ever just because I'm like, I want to know something about that because I'm going to be in a conversation one day where I'm going to need that. It plays a huge role in networking because you'll always have something to talk about with someone. And this is a really big tip for anyone who has social anxiety or who struggles with building friendships and they don't know what to say. The more you know, and it can be the most random shit ever, the more you know, the more you're able to have those opportunities to connect with people. And again, it just gets you in a better position. So that's a positive of being a beginner. There are always negatives or cons. One of them is that you are exposing yourself. You are showcasing your asshole, as some would say, but you're showing people that you don't know. You're showing people that you're maybe easily influenced because you don't know, so they could easily tell you wrong information or guide you down the wrong path. So it makes you vulnerable, right? It's very exposing to be a beginner, but it allows you again to know that one, you're not alone, but also two, that you can go up from there. The only place you can go once you expose yourself and open yourself to this vulnerability of being a beginner is that you can always improve. Okay. The other one too is that it brings out insecurities and anxieties. So if you are someone currently that is struggling with an insecurity in your, let's just say in your looks, and you decide to become a social media person or an influencer or content creator or whatever it is going to expose you to your insecurities. It is going to show you what you are insecure about that you might not notice. My biggest insecurities, for example, in doing YouTube, it's not what I look like. It's not necessarily if people are going to listen or not, because I'm going to be super honest, they are. Okay. My history shows that people are interested in what I'm listening to. My business shows that people are interested, and just even my life, it shows that people listen to me when I talk. And so transparently, I don't have that concern. However, my insecurities with anything that has to do with long-term content is my brain moves faster than my mouth does. And what I'm talking about in my brain is like there's colors and there's shooting stars and there's rainbows. And it's like this whole freaking production going on right now. And my insecurity is that when I listen back to myself or when I listen to myself speak, what comes out is like 1/8 of what I desire to share. And I struggle with pronouncing words. I struggle with choosing the right word. Again, my brain just moves faster. And I also too have a long, like this, I'm literally doing it right now, but I elongate some of my words when I'm trying to save space for what I want to talk about. That's been an insecurity of mine recently for the last year and a half, which I do transparently think is one of the reasons too why I struggled with my podcast. Reason being is when you're filming and you're visual, I feel like it adds a bit of extra intention for me to keep going. I got to a point with my podcast where if I started to fumble, I was so quick and easy to be able to just click end and pause. And I think it kind of put a stump in my production because it almost became too easy to back down. It almost became too easy to feed into the insecurities. And then I started second guessing myself. My YouTube for me is going to be a challenge of understanding tech, which I've like hired someone to help me with. But even still, when I was getting ready to record this, we met at noon. It's now 4. We met at noon and I was like, okay, we're setting up all this tech stuff. And I just crashed. Like I emotionally crashed. And they were like, okay, what's going on? And I was like, I just hate tech. It just like it ruins my mood. And they're like, okay, like let's just remove it, like remove the pressure. And I was like, but you've taught me all these amazing things that I know are going to make my YouTube that much better, and it's going to perform, and it's going to look better, and it's going to sound better, and it's going to be better for my audience. And they were like, yeah, but like they need you. They don't need the background. They don't need the lights. They don't need everything to be perfect. They need you to show up for them. They need to hear you. They need to spend time with you. And that's why you reached out to me in the first place. And I was like, okay, yeah. So yeah, for me, even as well, like being a beginner, it's not always easy. I don't like it. I don't love having to do it, but allowing myself to try and showcasing it to you is so important to me because I so deeply value and appreciate people who just show you how it is. I respect someone and I see someone as more authoritative when they show their asshole essentially and when they showcase what they're struggling with or what they're not good at versus someone who tries to look like they have it all together. And for a long time, I did worry that it would like maybe affect not necessarily my authority, but I did worry that it was going to affect things long term. But I also too think that that comes from this belief that like everything is permanent. And I think I'm ingrained in my head that when it comes to content, that has to be perfect. And it's this whole like everything's edited. Like you watch the reels, you watch everything on social media, and I just feel like I sometimes can't keep up with the tech, and that plays a huge role in my head. And the tech and the grammar mixed together and the pressure to like film for half an hour without stopping, without fumbling my words, like that is where I will struggle the most with this journey. But I'm holding myself accountable and I'm sharing that with you to just show you that you don't have to have all the pieces to something in order to do it. Like I am so confident showing up as I am. Makeup or not, I'm so confident with talking about myself. I don't care to share about the nitty-gritties of everything, but there are certain parts that I do need to work on. And one of the things that I always tell my clients about confidence is that like you will never be 100% confident in something or in everything, but especially in one thing. So if you are sitting there being like, I really want to do ABC, I have these parts, but I'm not necessarily confident with these specific parts of it. Like that is okay. The number one tip that I would tell you is to just allow yourself to learn. For me, even allowing myself to be like, okay, I know I need a mic. I know I need some type of lighting. I know I need some type of background. Then when I hired someone, because I was like, okay, I'm actually going to do this damn thing. So let me just like have the emotional support. I also knew too that like with my ADHD, it's hard for me to focus on a video for half an hour. So that was a decision that I made. But if you don't know everything, if you're not confident in all of the parts, if you're lacking confidence in one specific thing, just allow yourself to learn about it and practice. Literally practice. I did not practice for this, by the way. I just was like, Erica, just push fucking record, put it up on the internet and like let yourself learn, right? Collect your data afterwards. If people literally hate to listen to it because you haven't edited out things and you don't have a script, then fine. Start scripting your things. But for now, allow yourself to just have data, allow yourself to try, allow yourself to learn. Those things will give you the confidence to just say fuck it and do it anyways. And that got like super emotional, and very like serious. But I love nothing more in my business than getting messages from people who have fucked up. I love nothing more than the messages of people being like, well, that didn't go as planned, because it truly shows that they're trying. And I will always respect someone who tries more than someone who finds excuses. I will always respect someone who shows up for themselves, whether it's good or bad, over someone who tries to be perfect or plants himself as perfect. And I want to just remind you that most people in this world will value you and will see you as the boss bitch that you are, or whatever the frick you want to call yourself, if you just try rather than trying to make it look a certain way. So that is today's lesson. What you can expect moving forward on this YouTube is a lot of everything. I hate constrictions. I hate red tape. I hate rules. And if I followed some of the content and like online rules, I might get somewhere faster, but I'm not going to enjoy myself. And I want to have fun. I want to enjoy myself. I want longevity. This is my retirement plan. So I got to make sure that me and YouTube are like this. But you can expect some Ask Erica segments, which is something that I used to do on my Instagram, where I would essentially take someone's situation that they're in, a struggle maybe, and I'm going to do a big deep dive on it and essentially coach through it. So if you're going through something similar, you can take some pieces from that. I'm going to post about my travel content. I'm going to share my favorite things. I'm going to share my thrift hauls, my fashion, all of the things. I'm also going to share my friends. And I'm going to share the people in my life that I love. And I want to showcase so many examples of confidence for you because it's so often painted in one specific way. And I want to showcase a full example of what confidence can look like. And it's not always like me. It's not always loud and crazy and fun and rambunctious and shaking ass. Sometimes it's quietness, and sometimes it's gentleness, and sometimes it's bigger bodies and smaller bodies. Sometimes it's trans folks, sometimes it's straight folks, sometimes it's older folks, sometimes it's younger folks as well. But I really just want to showcase a huge range of what confidence actually is. If you want to follow along and subscribe, that would be amazing. If you want to send this to a friend who could also use a little bit of a confidence boost and a little bit of some best friend love, but also maybe a hard pill to swallow, you can send it to them. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, where I spend most of my time, you can do that, and I'll link it in the show notes below. But I love you, and I hope that you continue to allow yourself to try something new, and I will see you next week. Ciao.